A chill sets in over the imaginary city. Its imaginary residents go about their poorly drawn lives. Without a sound, a rift appears in the sky. As quickly as it comes, it's gone. A low crash rings out as something falls to earth. You are the top problem sleuth in the city and the leader of the renowned Team Sleuth. Solicitations for your services come mostly from the imaginary realm, but they are numerous to be sure. Compensation? Insubstantial. It is a chilly autumn evening. You're kinda spacing out a bit. What will you do? Are you fucking kidding me? Lately, you've taken up the habit of pinning various photos and newspaper clippings to your wall. You've got a few articles about cases you've solved, info on cases you're still working on, stuff like that. You've also got a photo here of Spade Slick, the leader of the nefarious Midnight Crew. He's such an asshole. You like to use the photo for target practice with your trusty knives. You also have a photo of your lovely girlfriend, Hysterical Dame. You absolutely do not use her photo for target practice too. Not even when you've just had a fight and you're really pissed at her. No, sir. What kind of boyfriend would that make you? Just last week, you went out and bought a real desk, instead of the collection of particle board and cinder blocks you were using before. You now keep the old desk in the corner, permanently set up in fort formation. On your awesome, totally hard-boiled desk, you have a phone. It is in one piece and functioning because what sort of idiot takes their phone apart and loses the pieces everywhere? Not you. You'd never do that. You also have a pen, which you got the other day to replace your Tetrix of the Arbiter. You used to use the Tetrix to do all your paperwork because it's kind of badass, but you've misplaced it. Whoops. Next to the pen is your keyring. There's some sort of stupid looking paperweight on your ink blotter. There are also a couple of cards on your desk. What hunk rump card? You've never seen one of those in your life. Clearly the card you want to examine is this Jack of Spades card. You found it last night while investigating a case. If this doesn't have something to do with the Midnight Crew, you'll eat your hat. It's just a pen. You're legitimately shocked that it doesn't glitch into a Molotov cocktail or a waffle iron or whatever. Or maybe you just haven't figured out the trick to it. Whatever, it's just a damn pen. You guessed it's some sort of rabbit? You wish you could say you got this embarrassing thing from Dame, but actually you got it from Pickle Inspector. You really don't understand that guy sometimes. You can think of no more productive use of your time than this. Huh? That's strange. The paperweight is rattling. Did you shake something loose? Your first instinct is to smash it open, but Pickle will probably be insulted. Then he'll give you an hours-long lecture on manners, then probably spend the rest of the week crying. Maybe you should ask him about it later. There's nothing in there. You used to keep the Tetrix in there for the couple of days in between when you got the desk and when you lost the Tetrix, but obviously it's not there anymore. That's weird, the ink of Squid Pro Quo is gone too. How do you even lose both of those things? You take the keys and equip them in your weapon slot. Never know when things might get a little rough and tumble. You take the paperweight too, because why not? You also have a flask of whiskey in your pocket. Can do. It's almost quitting time. Maybe the two of you can grab a bite to eat. The phone rings a few times, then goes to her answering machine. She must not be home. Or maybe she's angry at you again for who knows what reason. You know how dames are. There's a knock at your door. The person knocking on your door is none other than your teammate and fellow sleuth, Pickle Inspector. You tell him that he could have just walked in, but he insists that that would have been rude. He looks particularly disconcerted today. Maybe you should ask him what's wrong. You repeat your performance for Pickle to see. He watches on in rapt fascination. Ace Dick wanders by and stops to watch too. Pickle says that he's very glad that you like the gift he gave you, but maybe this isn't the time. Ace says you look like a damn idiot. You ask PI what the deal with this thing is. He says there's no deal, it's just a paperweight. And why are you even asking that? There's trouble afoot. Pickle explains that his girlfriend, Nervous Broad, won't answer her phone. He always calls her at this time and she always answers. You tell him to calm down. She's probably just out getting makeovers with Dame or whatever it is that ladies do. He says that that's what you said last week, and then it turned out that the Midnight Crew had kidnapped them. Yeah, you say, but what are the chances of that happening twice? Your phone rings. You answer the phone in a hard-boiled fashion. On the other end is a very frantic Dame who informs you that she and Broad have been kidnapped. Before she can tell you more, she screams. There's a lot of indistinct yelling and the sound of a struggle. The line goes dead. Welp. This has got the crew written all over it. Those bastards have picked on you one too many times. You'll get them for this. You tell Pickle and Ace to liquor up and hit their forts. You're mounting a rescue mission. They nod and return to their respective offices. You chug down some whiskey, which grants you a small boost to your imagination characteristic. You grab the Jack of Spades from your desk. While you're at it, maybe you'll find out why the crew was stupid enough to leave a calling card behind at their last heist. Yeah, like you really want to be that asshole. The nerve of him taking a girly bubble bath with his cohorts while your girlfriend is tied up somewhere. You'll get them for this. Actually, now that you think about it, this hate fantasy doesn't even make sense. Everyone knows that Spade Slick doesn't bathe. You plunge headfirst into the world of make-believe. The three of you materialize in your imaginary offices and head outside. Time flows a bit differently here than it does in the real world, and while it's night over there, here the sun is still setting. The crew usually plays jazz down at Club Midnight during the early evening, part of their cover. As far as the law knows, they're just a bunch of innocent musicians. You know better. If you hurry, you can catch them while they're setting up. You leg it to Club Midnight as fast as you can. When you get there, a bouncer stops you. He says, "Tonight's invite only, pal." The bouncer looks at the paperweight for a moment before asking why a grown man would carry around a stupid thing like that. You're curious about that yourself. The bouncer politely informs you that they do not accept invites printed on peanut brittle. There, is this a stinking invite? The bouncer steps aside and even opens the door for you. You're in! You think about doing that for about 2 seconds until Ace catches sight of the crew and rushes the stage. You follow suit, shouting obscenities. Pickle stands behind you, politely suggesting that you behave in a more civilized manner. The crew are in the middle of sound checks for their performance. Spade Slick looks up from his piano and sneers. He says you better have a damn good reason for showing up here, Flatfoot. No thanks. Sounds more like the sort of thing Slick would do. Don't get you wrong, you're pretty fond of pianos yourself, but you've never seen a guy get as worked up over his piano as Slick does. Slick says you better stop giggling and start talking unless you want him to cut you a new windpipe. Diamond's Droog wants to know why, after last week's debacle, You think they would even dream of going near those dames again. Spade Slick says kidnapping them was a fucking nightmare, and if he never sees them again, it'll be too soon. Club's Deuce fearfully recounts the fact that Dame carries a chainsaw in her lipstick. Slick then adds that those bitches are fucking crazy. You call Slick a damn liar, demand to know where Dame is, and share with him quite a few creative insults. Droog wonders how you managed to get past the bouncer. Oh, well, maybe you should have thought of that before you pulled the card out. Slick snatches the card out of your hand. Slick examines the card closely before asking where you got this. You tell him you found it at the scene of that shitty heist they pulled last night. He seems to think about that for a moment before telling you to leave. Actually, he's right behind you. And he's already knocked out your teammates. Your attempt was a crushing failure. He throws the three of you out the door and tells the bouncer not to let you back in. He says if he sees you in these parts again, he'll beat you into a bloody pulp. Then he returns to the club, leaving you and your teammates out on the street. No need for imaginary drama, bucko. Shaking them awake will suffice. Once everyone's conscious and have their hats firmly back on their heads, you talk strategy. Pickle suggests that since the crew fessed up to kidnapping the girls last time, it wouldn't make sense for them to lie this time. He doesn't think the crew is behind this one. Ace thinks that's a load of crock. You're with Pickle on this one. It doesn't add up. You need more info.